Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Man, tough acts to follow in this room. Jeez. You know, I grew up Catholic, so I'm used to a quiet mass. We shake hands once. So this is a lot more entertaining, a lot more energy, man. Jazzed up.
Because I know that he'll be the greatest governor this state ever had, and we can unfix Illinois. I want you to stand up with me and give God a grand praise for my friend, Dan Clark.
I appreciate, through Mass, I had the opportunity to meet Apostle Wilson a couple weeks back, and we had a good talk about some of the issues that I'm running on. We want to keep his perfect record intact, but it's not just about winning, it's about why you win. You know, what does winning look like? What do you win when you win? And so for me, the reason I got into this race was really born out of an anger, frankly, and a frustration with what has happened to Illinois. Both political parties are at fault, and both political parties are responsible for the worst economy in 25 years, highest unemployment rate, 48th ranked economy in this country, where we lost 175,000 private sector jobs in calendar year 2008 alone. Both parties are responsible. And the politicians on both sides will come around and they'll tell you that the problem is that Illinois is broken, that state government is broken. But it isn't broken. It's fixed. In other words, the fix is in for the politically connected, and it's against people who play by the rules in this state. Right? You got to understand that they're not incompetent in Springfield. They're lying to you. Right? It's a scam. State government is producing exactly what it is intended to produce, which is guaranteed jobs and secure pensions for the political class and their functionaries. So it's a great thing if you're on the inside. It isn't such a great thing if you're on the outside. And guess what? About 90% of us are on the outside looking in. We just get the bills to pay for it all. So the challenge to me in this election cycle, the opportunity before us, is not to fix the system, it's to unfix Illinois. And the conversation that Apostle Wilson and I had was specifically about education. Because here's what we know, right? We know that if you get K through 12 education right, that a lot of your other problems become much easier to address because you have set young people on a path to be successful, independent adults, right? We know this. But that's not what we do in Illinois. We don't get K through 12 right in this state. We're not getting it right. In the city of Chicago, only half the kids will graduate high school. Only 6 of every 100 CPS freshmen will get a bachelor's degree by the age of 25. 6 in 100 in a system responsible for educating 400,000 children. I mean, that is, to me, that is not unacceptable. That is child abuse. Because if you don't give kids the opportunity to earn the kind of education where they learn how to read, write, and think critically, they cannot compete in our global digital economy. I mean, we have to understand, Illinois is the 13th largest economy in the world. We're not just competing against Indiana. By the way, we're losing that competition. But we're competing against countries across the globe. And we need to do a better job because we're not giving our folks the skills they need to compete, to be successful, to be independent, to realize their dreams. And so one of the things that I feel kind of incumbent upon me to do is as the Scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. Right? And so my parents had the opportunity to choose the best education for me possible. I grew up in the western suburbs in Wheaton. And a lot of folks have that choice. But in this state, we discriminate against people based on their address and their household income. And I want that to end. I want every child, every family to have the same opportunities that I had. Frankly, that Barack Obama has for his children. To send your children, everyone's children, to the best school possible. No longer will we tolerate children being sent to schools that we know will fail them. We know it.
Come on. Yes, amen. That's right.
This is the interesting paradox for me. We have this interesting paradox in this state. And it's not just in Chicago. It's in the south suburbs. It's in Rockford and Peoria, Rock Island, East St. Louis. We have this interesting paradox. We have school systems that fail, that nobody wants to defend. Nobody wants to defend their performance, and nobody wants to change them.
Wow.
Nobody wants to defend them, and nobody wants to change them. So what does that tell you? That means somebody's interests are being served by the status quo, and it isn't the students. So how you unfix K through 12 in this state, how you give every family the same opportunity that my parents gave me, frankly, is you change how the money flows, and you change who gets to make spending decisions. We don't fund bureaucracies anymore. We invest in families. And families make the choice of where their child goes to school, private, public, religious, charter, whatever. The second interesting paradox to me is we have folks in this state in political power who don't believe in theory what they do in practice. What do I mean by this? So everybody praises charter schools. Everybody praises the magnet schools in the city of Chicago because they're doing better than their neighborhood schools across every metric. Attendance, graduation rates, test scores, every metric, those schools are doing better. Here's the problem. Only 4% of the kids in the system get to go to those schools.
It's not right.
So if it's good for 4%, why isn't it good for the other 96%? Nobody seems to want to answer that question or is able to answer that question. Because you have too many people invested in how things have always been. And so what I want to do, literally, I've got some of the checks on the mock checks. Oh, I should hasten to add, mock checks, not actual checks. But I wanted this, if I'm governor, this is what's going to happen. For every family whose child qualifies for the free or reduced school lunch program, which is 85% of the kids in CPS, which statewide, we have 2 million kids, a little over 2 million kids in our K through 12 system. Statewide, 920,000 families have children who qualify for the free or reduced school lunch program. I want to give them a check. Represents the portion of the money the state uses to fund school systems. So in the city of Chicago, this check is for $6,700. And this check is made out to the individual family. And they get to take this check, and they get to go spend it at whatever school they want for their child. That's how you change the system. We can't, honestly, we have to have a sense of urgency about this. And that's, again, one of the reasons I'm in this contest, is because it doesn't seem like there's a sense of urgency, right? Kids are 10, 11, 12, 13 years old once. You don't get to go back to them when they're 35 and say, hey, come on back, we figured it out, right? So you know, the time is now to unfix this system, to unfix Illinois, to empower families and give every family and child in this state the opportunity to earn the kind of quality education that the tax man can't take away from you. Can't take away your education. He can take away your money, but he can't take away your education. And with the power of a good quality education, you're unstoppable. There's nothing that you can't do. There's no hurdle that you can't overcome because you have the skills to compete. So that's what my campaign is about. I really appreciate the time that Pastor Wilson and First Lady Wilson have afforded me here, and I thank you for your consideration. God bless you. Thank you.